Hello viewers, how are you today? Thank you for checking out this video. We actually went live a few minutes ago, but unfortunately we lost the video along the line. We're making this one for those that missed our live session on Facebook and on Instagram. It was a blast. We talked about 3 amazing alternative means to getting permanent residency in Canada, apart from or besides express entry streams. All right, my name is Lara. I'm a licensed and regulated Canadian immigration consultant. I work alongside Culye Immigration Services, and Culye Immigration Services in a few years of establishment has been able to achieve 80% success rate. I think this is fantastic. So if you have any if you're needing advice, consultation, and representation on any Canadian immigration application, please contact Culye Immigrations. You can contact us through WhatsApp. That's +1, which is the country code, 780-885-5830. +1 780-885-5830. You can also get in touch with us through our website, www.culyeimmigrationservices.com, and also we have our email, info@culyeimmigrationservices.com. You can follow us on Twitter, follow us on Facebook, follow us, like our page on Facebook, follow us on Instagram. You can also watch our videos and subscribe to our YouTube channel, okay? And our handle for YouTube, for Facebook, for Instagram is Culye Immigration Services, and on Twitter is Culye_immigrate. So if you type Culye, it's going to link you to our pages. The last session we had, we talked about the 5 ways through which you can get a quick invitation to apply for permanent residence in Canada through express entry system. And if you would like to know more about this, you can watch our videos. Is on our pages, Instagram and Facebook pages, even on YouTube. We talked about leveraging on our age, our nursing, our experience, education, how to use your language proficiency to your favor. So you can listen to these, and I bet you get value for the time you're listening. But today we're going to be talking about 3 amazing alternative means to getting permanent residence in Canada, apart from express entry streams. The first one we'll be talking about is self-employed persons program. The self-employed persons program is basically for those that have experience working for themselves. So if you've been working for yourself, you are a self-employed person. However, before you can qualify for this particular program, you need to be working in the cultural activities and athletic industry. So if you're a self-employed person, you need to be working in the cultural activities and athletic industry or athletic field. And for the self-employed persons program, it has a point-based system. Okay, so the point-based system, what makes it interesting is that it requires you to have a minimum score of 35 as compared to the minimum score of 65 on express entry. The maximum point for both is 100. However, express entry will require you to have 65 points, whereas self-employed person will require to have 35 points. And this 35 point could be very easy to come by, because just 5 years of work experience in this field gives you 35 points. And also in terms of age is one of the things that will be considered. However, in terms of age, those that are older than 50 can still get a score, can still get a point, as compared to express entry, where after 45 years of age, you are not getting any point for that age. Okay, and even for self-employed program, if you're within the age of 21 and 49, you're getting the same score, which is a maximum score. And from there, you might lose some points, but of course, you still have some points even after the age of 50. Okay, so that's the age requirement and criteria. Now, let's talk about the language test. I know so many people have been wondering, how can they relocate to Canada without taking the language test? The truth of the matter is, for every permanent residency application, you're going to need to prove your language proficiency. That's constant. However, there are some programs that allow you to have less that allow you to use lesser score than others. So take for instance, Express Entry is for you to use streams on Express Entry, the minimum you need to have is CLB 7. However, as a self-employed person and using a self-employed person program, it doesn't really have a set gauge, because it's rated based on high proficiency, moderate proficiency, basic proficiency, or low proficiency, or no proficiency. Okay. However, I would suggest that you have at least anything below CLB 7. So if you're having CLB 7, which is a minimum on Express Entry, it could give you the maximum score, or as a self-employed person using a self-employed person program. All right, so that's that. And for experience, you're expected to have 2 years of work experience as well in that field. And the minimum education that is required of you is secondary school education. We had a client that we introduced to this particular program at the time, and he asked a question that he has a niece. He told us he has a niece in Canada. Would that niece give him a point? Ideally, on Express Entry, you wouldn't get a point for having a niece, nephew, uncle, or aunt in Canada. But for self-employed person program, you're getting points for it. So if you have a niece, if you have a nephew, if you have an uncle or aunt in Canada, you're sure going to get a point if you're using the self-employed persons program. Now, you might wonder, what are the professions that can be related to art, cultural activities, and athletic programs? Okay, I'm going to mention a few. If you're not sure where your profession lies, you can contact us at Culye Immigration Services. We'll be very happy to give you this information and help you check what your profile matches or fits. Okay, so those professions that fall under the art, cultural activities, and athletic field includes authors, writers, performing artists, musicians, photographers, fashion designer, visual artists, creative designers. We have translation professionals, we have interior decorators, artisans, athletes, jewelry makers, broadcasters, referees, sport officials, sport and fitness lead and instructors, a lot of them. So if I haven't mentioned your profession, it doesn't mean you probably don't fall in this category if you're self-employed and if you're in the art, cultural activities, and athletic field. But we just have to check more for you to see where your profile lies. So that's what we have about the first point, the first amazing alternative means to getting permanent residence besides Express Entry streams. Now, the second point we're going to be talking about today is the startup visa program. The startup visa program is a program for those that are looking at starting a business in Canada. You know, when I tell some of our clients that they could explore startup visa program, the first thing they say is, where will I get the money from? I've always heard it's very expensive, that you need hundreds of thousands of dollars to be able to do that. Actually, for those that are coming in as entrepreneurs or investors, they might need a lot of money, like hundreds of thousands of dollars. But for you coming in as startup, you're not required to invest your money. So if you don't have the money, you're not required to invest the money. You're not asked, so how do I start up? Just have a business idea. Do you have a business idea? Can you pitch it? That's all you need to be able to get your business pitched to designated entities. Now, if you have a business idea or venture and you're able to pitch it to designated entities, these entities are the ones that would invest in the business idea you have. They're going to help you with the technical know-how, with the funding, with the expertise they have, and ensure that your business starts on the right foot. Right? So, but before you can do that, you need to search out for what is the investment focus. We have over 60 investment organizations that are into this. The government of Canada has been able to create a list of these companies or business organizations that supports startup program or startup businesses. They are classified into three main parts because the money that is expected of them to invest in your business differs. So we have the category of the venture capital funds, we have the angel investor groups, and we also have the business incubators. If you would like to know more about these organizations, where to find them and all of that, please contact us at Culye Immigration Services. We'll be happy to give you this information. Okay, so for startup visa program, it's not just that you get a business organization or the business entity that is designated for this to just help you. You would also need your language proficiency test. So the language proficiency test, however, that is required for this particular one is also lower compared to express entry streams. So the language proficiency for the startup visa program is CLB 5, and that's like IELTS 4. So that's a very good one, and I think it's amazing. All right, and also you do not, like I said, you do not need to invest your money. You can also apply for work permits. Let's assume you've already gotten your letter of support from the organization, then you are the verge of applying for work for permanent residency. You don't have to wait till your application is completed before you can come to Canada and start up something. You can apply for a work permit, come in, work for a bit till your permanent residency application is ready, then you start up. All right, so people might want to know that, okay, I have a client that we pitch this kind of program to, and one thing he said that was so funny and amazing is the fact that he said, since the Canadian government allowed me into Canada because of the startup program, how about if the business fails? Would I be sent back to my home country? I can imagine that kind of thought. But the truth of the matter is, your PR status is not affected even if the business fails. Everyone knows that businesses have their ups and downs, especially when they are startup businesses. Okay, so the government has already made provision for this. And apart from the financial provision on the aspect of the business entities that are allowed to support your startup business, it will not affect your PR status. So your PR status is still solid. What kind of idea, what kind of business innovation are expected? You need to look at industries we have out there. We have the agricultural sector. What can you do to make the sector better? How can you create or come up with a technology that makes the sector better? Of recent, we have a student that just graduated, and because it had a project during his academic years, and the project was about bringing up a new idea on how to do something for the agricultural sector, he came up with a project that was supported by one of these business investors. And before you know it, he has his business set up already, even just right after school. So it's a good idea to come into Canada not just as a peer, but as a business owner, as an employer of labor. You're adding value to the economy instead of taking from it. So the sectors we have: hospitalities, we have infrastructures, we have sport tech, we have fintech. So because you're an accountant doesn't mean you can come up with something that will benefit your industry. We have the mobility, we're talking about robotics, we have the energy, we have electronics, we have health. So just think wide and broad, and don't be limited. Don't think your idea is stupid or foolish, but of course it has to be a viable one. It has to be an idea you can write a business visibility report on. Okay, so pitch your idea to the organizations. Do not hold back. We have several organizations out there, and also you can get support from even more than one organization that you end up choosing from. All right, so that's the startup visa program. I see it as amazing because you don't have to invest your money, and all you need to do is your idea and also the ability to pitch, convince the organization on the reasons why they need to invest on the idea you have, and you're going to get it. So let's move on to the third point. The third point for today is the pilot immigration programs. Pilot immigration programs. They are programs because I'll be talking about 4 of them. And we call them pilot immigration programs because they are for specific period of time. So that means they could be discontinued when that time lapses, or they might be extended. Sometimes they scrap some programs and bring out new ones, and sometimes they add some additional stuff to the old ones and make it better than before. So it gives the government the time to evaluate the effectiveness of the program. That's why they are called pilot program. So the first one I'm going to start with is the Atlantic Immigration Pilot Program. The Atlantic Immigration Pilot Program, as the name implies, only applies to the Atlantic provinces. So the Atlantic provinces are provinces like Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, we have Prince Edward Island, and we have Newfoundland, Labrador. So these 4 provinces are the ones that are actually handling the Atlantic and Immigration Pilot Programs. So you wouldn't be searching for Atlantic and Immigration Pilot Programs in Alberta or Manitoba or Saskatchewan. You might not be able to get that there because it's Atlantic. Okay, so what is the basic feature? We're going to talk about that very soon. Let's move on to the second Immigration Pilot Program we're looking at. The second one is the Agri-Food Pilot Program. The Agri-Food Pilot Program is basically for those that have had Canadian experience in the agricultural sector before. So you might currently be in Canada, you might be outside Canada, so long you have a Canadian experience in the agricultural sector in some specific fields. Okay, not all fields in the agricultural sector qualify for this. So if you're not sure if your field or if your occupation qualifies for this, please contact us at Culye Immigration Services. We'll be happy to make it clearer to you and to help you understand where you fit into. So the Agri-Food Immigration Pilot Program, it helps those that have had previous experience in agricultural sector to be able to get permanent residency in Canada. I remember one of our clients contacting us after we posted one of our posts on our page. He said, oh, but can I come in? I don't have Canadian experience and all of that. Unfortunately, not at this time. It could change because immigration streams do change, but at this time it's only for those that have had Canadian experience. I'm going to go to the next one, which is the Rural and Northern Immigration Pilot. The Rural and Northern Immigration Pilot Program, it's only for specific communities. So there are some communities that have been designated for the rural and rural and northern immigration pilot. So these communities are 11 in number, and the provinces I'm going to call out now, not all communities in those provinces are actually designated. So only 11 communities across these provinces are designated for rural and northern immigration pilot. Okay, and for rural and northern immigration pilot, we have them in provinces like Alberta, like Ontario, like British Columbia, like Saskatchewan, like Manitoba. Those are the places where you can find rural and urban immigration pilot programs with the 11 communities. If you want to know more about it, please visit our page or contact us at Culye Immigration Services. We'll be glad to make it clearer to you. Now, the last one I'm going to talk about before I go to the criteria of these 4 pilot immigration program is the Caregiver Program. The Caregiver Program has, just as the name implies, is someone who is ready to come to Canada to take care of people. So who are those who be taking care of? Children, elderly ones, those that are physically or medically challenged in a way, or those that need help one way or the other. So you're coming in to help people, to take care of them. And it's in 2 sections. We have the home caregiver support program, and we have the home worker support program. Okay, so basically for the caregiver program, you're going to get your PR after 2 years. However, you're expected to apply for your permanent residency at the start of your application process. So when you apply, when you set in meet all criteria and you submit your application at the start, you apply for work permit alongside with it. You get a work permit to come to Canada and work for 2 years, and after the 2 years you submit a documentation that shows that you have 2 years work experience, and there you get your PR. And the amazing thing about this new, because caregiver program has been upgraded over time, and the amazing thing about the new caregiver program we have now is that you can come with your family members. The previous one doesn't really support you coming with your family members. Okay, so now you can come with your family members, and if your family members are interested in working or studying, they can also get permit to do that. Oh yeah, that's what it is. So it's an amazing stream. So just to cap these four pilot programs. We talked about the Atlantic Immigration Pilot Program, the Agri-Food Pilot Program, the Rural and Other Immigration Pilot Program, and also we talked about the Caregiver Pilot Program. These four pilot programs have some things in common. They have several other criteria, but those things they have in common is job offer. So for you to be qualified for any of these criteria, any of these pilot programs, you need to have a job offer. And a job offer not just from anybody, but a job offer from designated employers. However, for the caregiver as well, you need to be able to prove that indeed your employer needs to be able to prove that indeed they need you to come from outside Canada to take care of their loved one in Canada. The amazing thing about Atlantic and Immigration Pilot is that it has a lower proof of settlement fund. Like every permanent residency program would require you to have a proof of fund. Okay, for like startup visa, we mentioned that it will require you to have a proof of fund. For self-employed, of course, you have to show that when you come to Canada, you have the money to settle in or get an apartment or buy a house for yourself and make yourself comfortable. So, but for Atlantic Immigration Pilot Program, the proof of fund is really lower compared to every other pilot that we've made mention of. And also when you're talking about the Rural and Other Immigration Pilot, it also have a proof of settlement fund that is lower than the federal requirement, but not as low as the Atlantic Immigration Pilot. All right, so please have it in mind that you need to prepare your proof of funds depending on the number of family members you have, and also you need to have a job offer from designated employers. You can explore Job Bank. Job Bank is free to register. You get alerts from them when jobs that relate to your profession comes up. However, some provinces do have their own job portal specifically for this application or this pilot program, so you need to check that out. If you're not sure about it, please contact us. We're always here. You can send us chat on WhatsApp +1 780 885 5830. Now the last thing we're going to say about this is experience. Of course, you need experience to boost your application. Some like Agri-Food experience, it's a big deal. Okay, you have to have it. And for other ones too, they have their different levels of experience. For English language proficiency, or let me say language proficiency, could be English or French, you're expected to have at least between CLB6 and CLB4. So CLB4 is like having IELTS 3.5. That's low. So you can harness all these opportunities and ensure you leverage on these out there. So if you're not sure which of these categories you fit into, please contact us at Culye Immigration Services. We'll be glad to help you out. That's what we do all day. Okay, so I'm just going to recap everything we've said before I go to some of the questions that were asked on the live stream, on the live session we had. The first thing we've talked about today is self-employed program for those experienced in working for themselves. And we said your job has to be in the arts, cultural activities and athletic field. We also made mention of startup visa program, that all you need is your idea, pitch it in a way that is convincing to any of the business entities that are designated to support startups in Canada. We have over 60 plus organizations that support startups. You can contact us, we'll let you know and have their contact. Also, we made mention that all you need for startup is your proof of settlement fund. So if you have money to put into it, of course you can discuss with the investors, but if you do not have that money to put into it, basic thing you need is your idea and be able to pitch it out. Okay, so we now talked about the pilot programs. We said the pilot programs are for a specific term. That means they're temporary and they could be discontinued or renewed. That's why they are called pilot programs. So we spoke about four pilot programs. That's the Atlantic Immigration Pilot Program. And we also talked about the Agri-Food Immigration Pilot Program. We spoke about the Rural and Northern Immigration Pilot Program. And lastly, we talked about the Caregiver pilot program. I hope you've had a nice time listening to this. I'm just going to share with you some of the questions that were asked on the live stream. So the first question we had, one of the questions we had rather, is I'm a nurse and is there any stream for me? Of course, for nurses there are streams, especially streams through provincial nomination programs. Okay, we're still going to be talking about provincial nomination program very soon, so look out for our next information session. We will make it available, make information available through social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook page, Twitter, YouTube. Always check us out to see when the next session will come up. So for nurses, of course, they can come in, but one basic thing I want you to know for nurses is that you're going to need a job offer. So if you have a job offer, then it's easy to check out for every other requirements to see if you meet them. Okay, so that is that. So the next one is, can I switch to another profession if I come through immigration pilot program? Okay, switching to another profession, you might not be able to do that. But switching employers, yes, sometimes you will be able to do that, especially if you're coming directly through the program and not employer tied. For provincial nomination programs, we have some streams that are tied to some employers, right? But for caregivers, the new one, they've untied the caregivers from the employers, so they can actually switch employers when they come in. But can a caregiver now become an accountant or switch to become an engineer? That might not be possible, at least for the 2 years that is required of you to get your caregiver experience, Canadian experience. So it is what you're being recruited for while you're coming in that profession. In that profession, that's what you'll be able to work for the time being till you're able to meet the requirement. Okay, another question here says, my brother is a personal shopper. How can he come to Canada? Well, for personal shoppers, we need to check out all the things he can do, or other things he has done before. We try to see which side of your profile we can leverage on. So for that, I would say contact us at Culye Immigration Services. We'll be glad to take a look at your profile and to suggest the best course of action for you. All right, so that's where this session is going to end. Thank you so much for viewing. Do not forget to contact us, follow us on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter. Our Instagram and Facebook handle is Culye Immigration Services. Our YouTube handle is Culye Immigration Services, and our Twitter page is Culye_immigrate. Okay, thank you very much for your time. You can always check our website out. It's www.culyeimmigrationservices.com, and you can contact us on our WhatsApp. That's +1 780 885 5830. Thank you for your time. Hope to see you next time. Bye.